Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. Now it's real time, sponsored by the Mill Casino.
Welcome back, everyone. One way or the other, we wrangled David Johnson from David Johnson's Guide Service here into the studio on a Sunday, the 1st of December, when he would love to be chasing Chinook right now.
That's right.
It's good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me in.
So this year, we got lots of reports here on the show. You know, some, hey, it was decent along the coast, terrible along the coast. Bay fishing was great. Bay fishing was terrible. What about you? What say you?
Individual results may vary.
I mean, really,
right?
I mean, that's really what it falls down to.
And you got to fish hard. You got to fish hard. You got to change
so many different
tactics.
things.
You got to, conditions.
So what would you call it for 2024?
I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was better than last year and better than year. And you know, the last 3-4 years has gotten better every year.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, everyone he's with clients, he's got rods in the boat. It's not just out there throwing one stick around. You can see that he started out doing some trolling, and he finished off here recently in the drift boat.
Yeah,
I would assume in some of the smaller systems. But when you were out still trolling in the big boat, looks like you were having some fun. This is your fall Chinook recap video.
A little recap video I just threw together. Yeah.
Now.
Mostly just a bunch of action shots, you know.
Well, of course. I mean, the guy's always on some sort of social media thing doing something. Somebody's got a camera going somewhere. We're not going to talk locations, even though everything's done, but it looks like you covered quite a bit of ground.
Yeah, I fished half the Oregon coast.
Okay. Yeah. Like literally?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, very good. So when you get that opportunity, you can kind of chase them around and find them. Oh, that's a bobber right there. I'm not going to go too far in there. Where the hell's the invite, man? Jeez, dude, what are you doing?
I invited you. You were out duck hunting.
I'm not going to argue that. It is just...
You were out duck hunting. You missed it.
That's the way it works. And I did. I actually did. I'll admit, I missed a lot of opportunities, not just on the coast. I also did on the Columbia just because of elk season and this and that. I don't regret it by any means, but certainly there was a decent year. But now it's December 1.
Yes.
Get off the water. Get out. Get over.
You're done.
Quit putting money into this region. We don't want to do that. Now, there's a lot of different reasons as to why. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are different reasons why, not a lot, that they decided to start this last year with the December 1 closure. What are your thoughts on this whole process?
I think some of those reasons are social, you know, loud voices saying, oh, stay off the spawning beds. But, I mean, I don't think those people realize, yeah, sure, there's fish up spawning in the higher systems.
In the high stretches,
But when you fish low, there's fresh fish coming in all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, the fish that you're targeting now aren't the same fish that got pounded on in July and August and September and October.
Sure.
They're totally different fish.
Yeah.
So if you catch some fish then, and you catch some fish now, it's spread out.
Right.
You know, and then they closed it down. You know, really the fall fishing at this time of year is self-regulating. Sure. You know, especially in December. You're most of the time it's either going to be high and blown out, fish are going to escape. 2 weeks ago, you know, we had high water for 2 weeks. A lot of fish went through. The water dropped into shape in the last week. Now it's low and clear. When it drops off low and clear, and that's usually, you know, one or the other in December. It's either a cold snap and the water's low, clear, nobody fishes. I mean, you can go to any river down there in Tillamook and there'll be 1 or 2 boats on the whole river. Sure. So it didn't really make any difference if it's closed or not. Nobody would have been hardly fishing, you know, so, and they're not going to be, the success, you know, may not be as good either. So
sure, low clear water conditions can be tough.
Yeah, it's self-regulating.
Sure.
And it's just a shame that we don't even have any December fishery anymore. You know, we phased out the early run hatchery steelhead. Used to be Thanksgiving was our kickoff. Yeah. Now, effectively, or kind of, January 1st is more of a kickoff.
It really is, which is for some. For me, I don't mind it because I'm a duck hunter.
Right.
Okay? But if I was solely focused on chasing steelhead, Thanksgiving, I would have already been on the water 2 or 3 times by now.
Yeah.
In high school, we would have been on the water 2 or 3 times by now.
Yeah.
Back when we first got drift boats in the mid-'90s, we would have been on the water right now.
Yeah.
That's completely changed, although there are, like, and I know that you've heard of a one here, one there kind of scenario too. Also, you got to keep in mind that there are rebrights that are coming back down, summer fish that are returning. So some folks might run across one, get on the board with, I think you mentioned earlier perfectly, you're on the board with a steelhead,
right?
And not necessarily the steelhead.
Yeah.
But that
they're still fun to catch. They're still steelhead.
Nothing wrong.
I mean, they don't really spawn much until like January, February. Right. So you'll still get fish late summer fish that are in decent shape.
That are working through.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, take a look at them.
Yeah.
There's ways to
They've
find
been
out.
there. Yeah, they're skinny and they're pretty.
Yeah.
They are really pretty fish,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But, you know, and on the east side, that's what people fish for this time of year, are
well,
the summers.
They like them boots, too.
Yeah.
We're crowned up down here. You know, it is what it is. If it's a dark fish, we're not very happy with it down here. But back to the fall Chinook thing.
Yes.
So, do you foresee this closure in December, starting the 1st of December, continuing as we go forward?
I hope not. I hope not. You know, and I talked to a biologist last year. And I said, can we even fish for hatchery fish? He said, no, because which was true. The previous 2 years, they didn't meet their late component of their hatchery spawn. They do 3 spawns. They do an early, a mid-fall, and a December spawn. And the previous years, they got like less than 10 fish in December in the hatchery.
Right.
And so I guess that's part of their reason why they closed it down. Well, of course, last year they closed it down, and within a week or so of it closing down, they got a fresh of water. They got 60 fish in the trap, bam, just like that.
And what happened to those fish?
Well, a lot of them either went to stream enhancement or enrichment, you know, or the food bank because they got their escapement.
Yeah.
And now they could have left it open for people, you know.
Okay, so that's really frustrating. I mean, obviously we want to have opportunity. Or, you know, that's one of the reasons why ODFW exists, is to provide opportunity.
Right.
Okay.
And we've lost our basically our steelhead opportunity. And we used to still be able to fish for Chinook. And back in the day, you know, we used to get a lot of fish where we go out and we get a limit of fish. You know, we get 3 or 4 steelhead and a Chinook, or you know, it was nice. And usually my program used to be in December, I'd still be fishing Chinook, and we'd be catching plenty of Chinook for the first couple weeks of December.
Yeah.
And then you'd start picking up steelhead here and there on our salmon gear.
Absolutely.
And once you started to say, oh, there's enough steelhead around here, we'd kind of switch over and start steelhead fishing.
Yeah.
And then we'd be catching steelhead and pick up 1 or 2 salmon.
Right. I remember
you know,
those
we'd catch them on,
that we would have.
Yeah, we'd catch them on catch salmon on small plugs, or we'd catch them drift fishing, side drifting, that kind of thing.
It was my favorite month.
Yeah.
It still is my favorite month.
Great, yeah. There were such great opportunities to have a mixed bag fishery.
Sure.
And then we phased out that early steelhead run, and now at least we could have still salmon fished, and now we can't even do that, you know. So I mean, we can still steelhead fish, but the next few weeks
it's tough.
It's tough. There's not many. If we want to fish on some of the smaller rivers that have hatcheries on them, those definitely have early fish.
Sure.
You're gonna have to play the conditions. You know, of course, now, I mean, this week would be kind of out with such low water, but if we get that bump in the rain next weekend,
could be interesting.
there could be some fish in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Listen, it's all stuff about having opportunity. I mentioned opportunity, right? We want to have opportunity to get out there. We want to
have opportunity for success.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We also have to do the right thing for the fish. Now, if this turns out to be some sort of magic pill that turns the run into some monster thing here the next 2 or 3 years, well, that's a different story.
I know we won't, though, because really, like I said, self-regulating, the conditions regulate that.
Doesn't common sense
we're not going to really catch all those fish.
Where does common sense come in, though? You talk to some of the biologists, I talk to some of the biologists, and I ask them that question all the time. I mean, where does just understanding what the reality of things are?
I don't know if it's extra control, or, you know, that like, or they just want to go with their opinion. And a lot of times, some of the times, there's just policies too. You know, like how come we don't have hatchery fish over here? Oh, it's just not policy. It's like, well, let's change the policy.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You wouldn't want to do anything like that.
Yeah.
And common sense. I mean, for crying out loud, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I don't want to say common sense. I mean, that's just crazy. Okay. So in the end, we'd love to see it still open. I would assume you'd love to see it still open in December for just the same reasons as you had mentioned. Low water or high water, self-regulating. These fish are going to have that opportunity to get through. And what you had mentioned about last year when those fish did finally get a big push, that also happened the year before in the first opener when there were other people out there that were looking for reds in December, floating the river, and all of a sudden there's just tons of fish around and nobody's fishing for them. So it's interesting. Hopefully they'll take that bit of data and maybe alter what they're thinking going forward. Maybe give you an opportunity for hatchery fish only or something.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
At least. Yeah.
Mainly because I'd love to be able to get back out there in December. Because I've talked about it here before. One of my best days I've ever had, and it doesn't really mean anything because it was years ago, was Christmas Eve.
Yeah. We've had double-digit days, middle of December, double-digit days on a Chinook.
And a good reason to cast and blast.
Nice, bright Chinook.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And nobody on the water. I mean, that's the thing.
Here's a throwback to the early 80s fishing at Craigan City Cross Park. Yeah.
You can see the bridge.
There's another one, yeah. You have the railroad bridge, which is gone.
So, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
The pillars are still there, and I think they turned one of them into some
trolley
sort
car bridge. Trolley car bridge, we should say.
some sort of a water intake thing there now, or something like that. Is that where you learned how to logo, though? I'm just wondering.
You know, I don't low hole so much. I like to fish above guys and catch the fish above them.
That is 100% a lie. I'm kidding. All right, we're going to cut to a break. When we come back, I want to talk about steelhead fishing, and it's right on our doorstep, right? We're going to talk a little bit about how he likes to get started, when he likes to get started with his clients. We also have a question for him about water conditions for steelhead, and we're going to have a tech tip for you in a little bit pertaining to sand shrimp.
Yes.
And how you like to rig them.
Yeah, couple different ways, yeah.
Okay, so pay attention. We'll be back with more Outdoor GPS and David Johnson in just a couple minutes.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Chevy Silverado and the impressive Turbo Max engine. Flex your muscle with the strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. Official truck of Outdoor GPS.